I want to talk to you today about a concept or an idea that has been a tremendous blessing to me as an individual, as a leader, as a teacher, as a mother, just in understanding people. It's incredible how it has opened my mind, and I have returned to it again and again and again over the years. I was introduced to it long ago, and it continues to be a source of understanding to me, and I really want you to benefit from it. Now, the source I have here is Multiple Intelligences, The Theory and Practice of Reader by Howard Gardner. I actually have 2 or 3 of the different versions. I have a bigger one that's like an 8.5 by 11. It was taken from seminars that some people that worked with Gardner went around and gave, and it's like a kind of a hands-on, tactical practice doing it, figuring it out, that kind of thing. In this book, it's really only the first section that's even going to help you with it, because it's got a lot of his. He's a social scientist, and he discovered this through a lot of study and then some testing and observing. But then part 2, educating the intelligences, I mean, that starts on page 65. And so the introduction, the first section of this book in particular, is just going to introduce you to it. There's a lot of stuff online, and there's tests online that are really, really valuable. And what he wants to do in the rest of this book is say, what I'm teaching you is true. This theory of intelligences has really held true. And so let's figure out how to reform our schools in line with these principles or these concepts. And my experience has been that there is just a lot of truth here. And that people are smart in a lot of ways. When you get online and you start taking tests, especially for younger kids, he's changed the wording to make it more like graspable. And he'll say smart. So the theory is, the backbone of this idea is that there are different ways to be smart. That our school systems educate to 3 types of intelligence, and he puts forward 7, and now it's up to 9, and I think he was entertaining a couple others. And what he's done is study hundreds, maybe thousands of really brilliant individuals, the geniuses of history. And he's tried to discern what made them a genius. What's the core of where they're really, really smart or brilliant? We're used to thinking of smart in specific ways. Scientists are smart, and writers are smart, especially like nonfiction writers. People that can read well and think well, those are the people that are really smart. And he says, no. There's all these other ways to be smart too. And the problem with our schools is that we're only teaching to 3 of the intelligences. That's why it's called multiple intelligences. There's different ways of being intelligent. That individuals have different intellectual strengths, and we need to discover what they are and teach to their strengths. Now, they need to be well-rounded. That doesn't mean that he wants to not ever teach anybody math. But one of the things that he says, that I quote a lot, is that there are a lot of ways to be smart. And this is the quote I was given. He says there's too much to know. We live in the age of information, in the information age, and there's too much to know. We have information at our fingertips, and the truth is that's one of the reasons why I do what I do, and other people do it as well. We're taking information and we're putting it in a manageable, what's the best of the best that we've been able to discover to streamline that learning experience for you or for whoever it is, and give them the best of the best without them having to go out and do all the research themselves, because there's too much information. It's the information age. And so that being the case, there's too much to know. And if there's too much to know, what should we know? And one thing he says is, well, we should have a foundation. Certainly there's information and education that's for all people, and for me that's the classical liberal arts, which is why I feel like everybody should read original writings, and we do the Enlightened Minds the way we do, and we do the blog the way we do, and all of our other reading programs and such, because I believe that should be the focus. So that's the education for every man, right? But then what about you? What about you as an individual? How how are you different than everybody else? And what he's trying to say is, if we can discover what your intelligences are, then you can have an easier path to discovering what you specifically would love to do in this world, this complex world of virtually limitless options, especially in free nations. You could do almost anything. And the truth is, if you got really good at it, you can make money doing almost anything. You can, you know, I mean, how many people save their, you know, save trash, save bags, save, I mean, you know, all the prom dresses made out of gum wrappers. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? So he says what we want to do educationally is we wanted to discover the child or the individual, or even as an adult, we need to discover it for ourselves. What are we intelligent at? And what does that mean for us in the future? And how can we educate ourselves and our children or our students or whatever it is that we're doing? And work with people in a way so as to understand where they're smart. And in a corporation, this is invaluable. I mean, I don't even know any corporations, and he has a focus towards educational organizations, but the truth is businesses need this information every bit as badly, because if you understood everybody that you worked with, if you understood their intelligences, you could place them properly to maximize their gifts and talents and abilities. So that's what we want to do. We want to get to know people, and this is one of the key ways to do it. So what he says is there's word smart, number smart, spatial smart, kinesthetic smart, music smart, nature smart, self smart. Boy, I can't even remember all of them off the top of my head. Those are a lot of them. And the thing that's really fascinating about it is that some of them develop earlier than others. So math smart and music smart, I think music smart might even be the earliest. You know all these child geniuses that go around and give these concerts at 5, 6, 7 years old? Well, the reason that people don't do that with other gifts is because music intelligence develops earliest. It just makes absolute sense that if you happen to be very gifted in music, it's going to come on young. I mean, our pop stars and rock stars are usually very young. They're in their teens and their 20s, and the reason for that is that music intelligence develops earliest. I've got 2 musicians at my house, and I knew that my third child, my boy that is a musician, I knew he was going to be a musician when he was little. I bought him a drum set at 3 or 4 years old. He's never stopped tapping. His rhythm is impeccable. My daughter has relative pitch, and so this is the kind of thing that it develops young, and they're already writing songs and they're already performing, and they're still in their teens. And so it's this kind of thing that when you begin to understand it, it just opens up your mind to, wow, you know, my husband, if we go into a new building that we've never been in before, especially if it's really complex, or if he's going to be working in it, or if he's wandered around in it, he will sit and try to figure out the floor plan. He's always been very, very good at building. He's always been complimented a lot on the floor plans that he draws, how he utilizes the space so perfectly, and he can build smaller homes and maximize the space because he's so gifted at that. If we're driving anywhere, he almost never gets lost. Well, all of these things add up to being spatially smart. And part of that intelligence is he loves design and making things look nice. My son is also spatially smart, and he is a lot into fashion, and that is a lot about taking different pieces and putting them together. So what do these equal up to? What intelligences are at your house? And how are those, you know, and when are those intelligences going to develop in life? The self smart develops later. Word smart develops a little bit later. And that's one thing that I'm smart at. It might be my highest intelligence is language. That doesn't mean foreign languages, but language and words. I have, since I was, and I didn't realize that I could do this. I didn't realize that other people didn't do this. But when I look back now, I remember many times through high school and college that I would search for test answers, or, you know, if you had like an open book test, or I needed to review for a test, I would see where it was in the book. And I'm still able to, you know, I teach study skills and bookmarking skills, and I've figured out ways to do that and to organize information. But I also am just good at knowing where things landed on the page, if they were on the left or the right, in the middle, near the back, whatever it is. And so, you know, another thing I learned about myself is that I'm good at ordering information, that I really like to, that I like to create systems. And so those are different ways of being smart, and you want to discover what those are for yourself and for your family. So you can go online and you can look at multiple intelligences, and you can take some of the tests, and then you can read up. And he's got different famous people who had different, I think he does, maybe that's a different one, maybe he doesn't have the people that were famous that had to, yeah, he does, has some people that were famous to help you tag, oh, that's what that, you know, intelligence represents. For example, Walden Thoreau, self-smart. He's writing all about his inner experiences and what's going on. I think Gandhi was also self-smart as well. That's being, I can't remember what the formal name for that one is. Anyway, I could just go on and on and on about how beneficial this has been in my home. And, you know, it's like the other day. Okay, so I have kids that are technically, because one's in August and one's a November birthday, they're technically 3 grades apart. But not really. It's kind of, they're just about a little over 2 years apart. Well, okay, almost 3 years apart. And it just turns out that the one that's my middle son, he is highest in music intelligence. Oh, you can also be people smart. He has a zillion friends. Everywhere he goes, he's the most popular kid. He is people smart, and that's like his second intelligence. And so he's, you know, he's always there playing his guitar with a billion people around him, because those are his intelligences. Well, number smart was like his lowest one. And we don't do this to pigeonhole our kids or to give them excuses. This is not about having excuses, because we all need to develop all of our intelligences. And we all need to get those 4 target areas of deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning and all that kind of thing. So, of course, we're still going to do math. But the fact is that his sister that's younger than him, one of her highest is math. She supposed to technically could be in 5th grade, and she tested in 7th or 8th grade math. So they're both, you know, he's technically 8th grade, so they're doing the same math, but they're, you know, and he looks a lot older because he's matured already and she is not. So it can be a little bit embarrassing for him to be like, why are we in the same math? And finally the other day I was like, look, and this is where this information really, really helps in everyday situations. It helps you know how to target. He tells this story about this kinesthetic, really, you know, really kinesthetic intelligence child, touching, feeling, doing, and the dad, he would roller skate around the driveway while the dad called out state capitals or something like that, and he could memorize them because his body was moving. He needed to be moving when he was learning. Well, don't drug him. Don't call him, you know, ADHD if that's not what it really is. Know that they're kinesthetic smart and that they've got to move around while they learn and work with it, right? So this gives some good scientific backing to things that you may intuitively know about your students or about the people in your corporation or whatever it is. So anyway, back to the story. So they're in the same math, and he's kind of bugged about it. And I said, look, math and music are intelligences that develop early. And you are very musically intelligent, and she just happens to be math intelligent. And you happen to be not math intelligent. And so what that means is that you're both on the same math at the same time, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to anybody or to anything. You're both still going to get where you need to go, and you're both going to have the math skills that you need to go to college, and you can learn together. And actually, that was fantastic. That was perfect. That was solved the problem. He just relaxed. He didn't worry about it. They do their math together. So don't let it bug you. If you're not smart in one way or another, develop it if you want to, but especially like career-wise and educational focus, this is such good information to know. And I've just gone on and on and on about it. So I'm sorry this post has been really long. I cannot tell you how much benefit it has given me in my life. It helps me understand other people, why they do the things that they do, and why they might not be good at certain career paths that they've chosen, and how they might be able to correct that. And there's all kinds of applications and implications of this information that are super beneficial. So it's just called Multiple Intelligences by Howard Gardner, and you could get this particular book, or you could get the reader, or you could get another book, or you could read about it online, or all of the above. But it's going to revolutionize your relationships. It's going to help you understand yourself and others so much better. So you've absolutely got to do it. pass this on, let other people know about it. It's super important information, and we will see you next time.